A high school boy wins the title of homecoming queen for the first time. Now, because of that, he's allowed to remake the school's entire dress code to permit further gender bending. I guess that means actually a drag queen is a real queen. She gets to tell everybody else what to do simply for wanting to wear women's clothing. It's a weird world. I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and this is the Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show. As you know, we are the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Before we start, give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Clean Start. This is great stuff. It is a hand sanitizer. It comes in concentrate form, like that big bottle in the center there. It provides you all different kinds of containers. Add water. It is unbelievable. It is alcohol-free. It is non-smelly. It doesn't have any scent to it. It's a foam. It lasts up for 2 hours. 2 hours. And one of those gallon buckets that you see right there will give you 19 bottles of this stuff. So I can't say enough about it. Go to freedomproject.com/clean. That's freedomproject.com/KLEEN. Okay, today we head to Missouri, the show me state, where they're showing a little too much these days, where, believe it or not, students have just voted a high school boy as their school's first homecoming queen. And it was such a smash, such a fabulous event that now that kid gets to redesign the entire dress code for the school.
Senior Zachary Wilmore, who I guess had a dream to be the homecoming queen, and this is happening at Rockbridge High School, and he is a TikTok person. And if you know anything about the TikTok, it's all about the views and these short little video clips. And what he does now that he has 1.1 million followers as a senior in high school, he likes to do little TikTok videos that show him, as he calls, being dress coded. And so he takes this as a point of pride to get in trouble with the dress code. And instead of the teachers or the administrators being like, follow the dress code, he now gets to change it to the dress code that he wants it to be. And if you see some of these images of him, you'll understand.
Your 2021 homecoming queen is Zachary Wilmore.
Not everyone gets a moment like this.
It was literally like a dream. But the fact that I won, it was just really special to me.
Rockbridge senior Zachary Wilmore won the title of this year's homecoming queen. He's the first boy to do so at his school.
I took a really quick Instagram poll. I was like, should I be king or queen? And they were like, queen would look prettier on the sash. And I was like, you're so correct. So I chose queen. Hey guys, we're live from Rockbridge.
His decision for the queen spot goes beyond just the sparkly dress.
Queen is a term used by gay men specifically as an endearing thing.
It felt really good as the parent of an LGBTQ student who was sitting right next to me that they felt that inclusivity.
And then no one gave me a hard time about it in the hallways. All I got was just compliments.
However, this isn't the first win for the teenager. With over 1 million followers on TikTok, Wilmore has become an influencer online. He's shown the outfits he wears to school that got him dress code violations.
A lot of the times I did feel like they could target students, and I felt a little bit targeted.
Let's talk about what to do if you want to change your school's dress code.
The district says they're making efforts to change the dress code before Wilmore graduates.
They put me in charge of creating the new dress code, which was really nice. I originally made it because I was like, hey, I am upset that this is happening to me, and that's just this is my story, and eventually it did create change.
I'm a savage.
These kids are part of mainstream community and culture at this point, as well they should be.
As time goes on, this tradition looks different at Rockbridge.
It was the final stepping stone.
And now more people can experience this moment.
So it's inclusive to exclude girls from homecoming queen, number one. We learned that lesson. Number two, wearing lacy knee-high, what do they call those things? What are they? Pantyhose? What? Thigh-high, knee-high socks? This now? Because he's a gay man, right? You're going to change everything to make him comfortable. Okay.
Well, I'm going to correct you there. He's a gay boy. He is not a man yet.
B-O-I.
And yet, as that mom said, these students, children, are part of the mainstream as they should be. So we're trying to, not only as children, get what they want, the adults want to just give them everything they could ever dream of. Because you know what? Because he prefers to be attracted to men or boys, it means everyone must cater down to that.
Yeah,
and so, and you even saw it when it was them announcing who the queen is. The girl standing next to him, you could tell was like, oh, please let it be him. Because if it's me, maybe she wasn't thinking this, but I would have been. If it's me, I'm going to get blamed.
Exactly.
Not because I did anything wrong, but because, well, apparently, he must win. And the other thing I'd like to say is, how dare he cultural appropriate the queen?
Exactly.
Queen Elizabeth is probably sitting over there in England right now, being like, how dare you culturally appropriate my title of being an actual queen?
Well, and now, of course, you saw the way he dresses in the bathroom. You saw which is fine. You want to do it in your own time. But again, why do you have to dress that way at school? Why does everybody? You know what this is? Because when you're gay or when you're somehow non-traditional, then you're such a victim that the whole world has to change for you. I mean, you get to dress that way at school, and you're going to fix it in the name of equality, right? That everybody else can too. Why? Again, this is one more example of how school is being used for radical social change that has nothing to do with the purpose of schools. We just got to stop with the school stuff. These aren't schools. They're not schools. They never have been schools, not in a long time. These aren't schools anymore. They're places where the entire history of the world is being rewritten along new lines. And if that's what you're up for, great. But don't call them public schools. Don't make moms and dads have to pay property taxes to support these schools. Find alternatives for moms and dads to have their money, their tax money, go to anything but this garbage. And then you could make this it could be Queer Eye for the public school. That's it.
Before we move on, just that quick reminder that the best way to access our content is to download our Freedom Project Media app. Simply search Freedom Project in your app store and make sure you allow for notifications once you download the app. Also, if you like listening to the audio podcast, we are available on Apple, Google, SoundCloud, and everywhere else. Now, we're going to keep it very local with this next story. And I mean very local. We're talking about the Oshkosh Area School District in Wisconsin. They're no longer going to require that the faculty or their staff seek parental consent before they affirm a student's desires to identify as the opposite gender. And according to them, they did not spell out no age, so we can assume if your 6-year-old wants to assume a different gender and go by a different nickname, then that's okay, and mom and dad, you may not know anything about it.
Well, of course, the irony is a 6-year-old can't choose that this is something that the teachers are going to choose for them based on leading questions and behavior.
A memo that was sent to district employees by Matthew Kammerer, who is the Director of Pupil Services, said the Oshkosh Area School District is committed to fostering a safe, supportive, and inclusive learning environment for all students. The district recently changed a section of Administrative Guideline 2260E that required parental consent in order for district staff to use a student's preferred name or gender pronouns if they differed from the student's biological sex assigned at birth. I like they use the term biological sex assigned, but okay. District staff members are no longer required to seek parental consent prior to honoring student requests to be called by their preferred name and or pronouns. Documentation of a legal name change is still required in order to change their student's name in the actual database. However, a student's preferred name can be entered as a nickname in their little software system, and students should be consulted before a nickname is added into their little system. Now, this email was also sent out to the families, and it's basically the same email they sent to what I just read to the staff. But then they had a couple more details. One thing they said was this change only impacts how a student who is transgender or gender nonconforming is referred to, name and or pronouns, during school and school activities. So if you're a kid, my question is, if a student decides to come and be like, yep, I'm transgender, and so now I'm going to change my pronouns, when they say it's only impacting how the transgender or the gender nonconforming, does that not just obviously lead into, well, everyone's going to be gender nonconforming then, because that's how you get to change your name to a different nickname? All right. Number 2, they said, district staff will continue to work directly with students who are transgender and gender nonconforming and their families to maintain ongoing communication. That's where they're covering their back ends on that one. And
Yes.
number 3, documentation of a legal name change is still required in order to change it, for their database.
So again, notice the exclusive, the name, in the name of inclusivity, you're excluding. Only transgender kids will get to change their names. Oh, and so in order to change your name, to have that privilege, to go by the name you want to go by, not your biological name, you have to come out as transgender or they won't let you do it. So once again, entitlement.
Now, also within this memo, they had said that while we understand that there are varying perspectives related to gender identity, we know that in order to put students first, we must acknowledge and support each student's unique needs. In making this change, our goal is to empower students to advocate for themselves while ensuring that our classrooms and schools are places where all students are able to be their true selves. It is our hope that by proving students with the support they need at school, they will be able to have those same conversations at home and with those around them if they haven't already. I was in those schools when I was in school to get my teaching license, and those spaces that they're talking about, at least at the high school level, are not safe. They're focusing more on the gender and the non-conforming and doing all this acknowledgement while there are actual fights breaking out in that school, and I saw cops there more often than I would ever like to have seen cops there, because that's what's actually happening while the administrators and the teachers are over here looking at this.
And please spare me your nonsense. As with the university, as with these ridiculous public schools, spare me, we care about all of our kids. You don't care about quote-unquote normal kids. You don't care about heteronormative kids. Your job is to break them, right? To force them to accept all of this special privilege. We just saw the homecoming queen, the homecoming queen, right? Who gets to completely rewrite the dress code for his school. Can you imagine that being given to a heterosexual boy to do? No, I can't really understand that either, because it would never happen. You pay lip service to the fact that you treat all your students the same, but you have made second-class citizens of 95, 98, perhaps 99% of your schools in the name of coddling a very, very specific minority and giving it all sorts of opportunities and abilities way above and beyond everybody else, and things that have absolutely nothing to do with school.
So here's a little bit of an interesting story. We have Twix, the candy bar. If you've had a Twix growing up,
No more.
there were 2 of them, 2 Twix in a package. Well, they have a new ad, and they're advertising for their candy bar, but not really. It's really confusing, the whole ad. So we're just gonna have you watch a little bit of it and then try and see where they're advertising for candy at any point.
Why are you all dressed up? It's not Halloween yet.
Can I help you?
Are you a good witch or a bad witch?
Do you want to find out? You buckled?
I'm still wearing my princess dress.
Do you want to wear it?
Hey, you! Princess! You look like a girl. Why are you wearing that?
Dressing like this makes me feel good.
Is that your nanny? She looks weird. You look weird, your nanny looks weird, you guys are both weird.
No, we're just different.
Boys don't wear dresses.
Whoa! Whoa! Where is it coming from? What's happening? Help!
We should go.
Will he come back?
Yeah, probably. Come on.
these companies have decided now that going woke is more important than the product that they sell. See, it's not the product. It's not the candy. It's not the quality of the candy. It's not whether it's good candy or not. It's making yours seem as woke as possible at the expense of what you're selling. And I remember the old the Twix ad campaign where they had left Twix, right Twix. The whole point was that they're two completely identical candy sticks, and they were playing off the idea that there was a war between left Twix and right Twix. Well, there is a war between left-wing Twix and the rest of the country. That's the war you're waging here. And so you had a little Asian girl and a little black girl at the beginning, right? And mom threatened them. Do you want to find out if I'm a witch? All they did was ask the kid, is it Halloween early? All right, that's what they asked the little boy in the little girl's clothing. Is it Halloween early? And they were threatened, right? Do you want to find out if I'm a good witch? And then that witch actually apparently murders a young boy at the end of it, right? Because what a caricature, by the way. What kind of a caricature bully is that? You and your mom, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, that happens all the time, I'm sure. But the implication is that killing people who who even fail to understand the nature of transgender children is now an acceptable option.
I find it interesting that Twix, at least at one point, had a slogan that was try both, pick a side. Because now, for what they're saying, you can be any side you want to be, and you can be all the sides at once. That's Twix. I still just don't understand how that had anything to do with any candy, any food, any item, anything, much less the Twix candy bar. But I did like some of the responses I read by people smarter than me and maybe dumber than me, who knows. But we had Southern Baptist pastor and professor Denny Burke, who probably had one of the best responses. He said, so the message is this, coming from Twix. Number 1, lie to children about how God made them. Okay. Number 2, anyone who opposes this lie is by definition a villain. Got that from the commercial. And then number 3, it's funny to destroy the people who oppose the lies. He says, I don't do boycotts, but this one is actually making me reconsider. I'd say you should boycott Twix just because of the calories and the sugar. It's not healthy for you anyway.
Another thing that gets me, where's the outrage? How do witches come off in that video? Can you imagine if you're a member of the Wiccan community just a couple years ago? We were told that Wiccans were peace-loving, they were in touch with nature, that the whole idea of witches as malign spirits was wrong and racist. And so along comes Twix, and what do they do with their witch? The stereotypical costume. And what are you suggesting about witches? They all wear shorty skirts that almost show their butts, that the sexualization of the witch that goes on in your commercial. And what do you do with these wholesome witches? We now know better. I watched TV in the 1980s. I know that all witches are hot young girls with tattoos, right? What was the name of that show with Alyssa Milano? Bewitched? No.
That was not in the 80s.
That was Sam. I don't know.
Wowza,
going back in time. But again, my point is we spent a lot of time rehabilitating witches as loving, caring environmentalists. And now you have them murdering children. Where's the anger from the feminists and the Wiccans over this portrayal? But it's okay. All you need to know is that it has nothing to do with candy bars. And hopefully Twix will not sell anybody because no one will even remember what the hell that stupid commercial was about. It's time to step away from all of this insanity to some real education. The oddities of the Vatican is our topic this week. The Vatican, take a look at the Vatican there. What a sprawling place. It's also known officially as Vatican City-State. It's a landlocked and independent city-state located within Rome, Italy. The Vatican became independent in 1929, its own distinct nation, and it is a territory under full ownership exclusive dominion, and sovereign authority and jurisdiction of the Holy See of Rome. It itself is a sovereign entity of international law, which maintains the city-state's temporal, diplomatic, and spiritual independence, with an area of only 121 acres. That stuns me, that how compact that is. An area of 121 acres and only of about 825 individuals living there. It is the smallest state in the world by both area and population. The highest state functionaries are all Catholic clergy of various national origins. The Holy See dates back to the earliest times in Christianity and is the principal episcopal see of the Catholic Church, which has approximately 1.4 billion baptized Catholic Christians in the world as of that number as of 2018, and in the Latin Orthodox churches, another 23 Eastern churches. Within Vatican City are religious and cultural sites such as St. Peter's Basilica, the Sistine Chapel, and the Vatican Museums. I want to look at some of the odder things. Take a look at this. The Mandalion of Edessa. This can be found there in the Vatican collections. Legend has it that the Mandalion, Mandylion, the Mandalion of Edessa is a towel on which Jesus purportedly dried his face. There are several conflicting legends in regard to the towel. As one story goes, the relic was crafted after leper and Turkish king Akbar of Edessa sent his messenger Ananias to Christ with a letter requesting a cure. If Ananias was unable to bring Christ back to heal the king requested a portrait instead. Once in the Lord's presence, Ananias tried to draw him, but instead was summoned to give the king a towel on which he wiped his face. The towel was left with an important imprint of Christ's face, and when Ananias returned and gave the towel to the king, he was miraculously healed, we are told today. The Mandalion of Edessa, which bears similarities to the Shroud of Turin, is kept in the Matilda Chapel in the Vatican Palace. So if you're ever there visiting the Vatican, check out some of these odder aspects of its collection.
All right, those are the stories for today. If you have a question for us, please feel free to drop it into the mailbag by emailing askduke@fpeusa.org. And if you enjoy our content, please support our show by joining the Patriot Club. Your tax-deductible donation keeps this show going. Simply visit patriotclub.us to get signed up. That's patriotclub.us. And as a special thank you, we will ship you our brand new American Patriot tumbler with Mr. George Washington.
That does it for us today. For Freedom Project, I'm Duke. She's Katie. Until next time, stay educated.